Okay, so remember that yesterday we enforced our marketing record and we did an invoice after we enforced it. Also, we created a binder. We did auto ID cards, and today we're going to learn how to do certificates of insurance. So to start with, first thing that I'd like to share with you is that you can pop in to certificates from here by right-clicking on your details icon. So if I wanted to look at a summary of my certificates, there's a little link right here that says Certificate Summary, and that would take me into a page of the certificates that the client already has. If I want to create a brand new certificate from here, you can click on the New Certificate link up here at the top, and that's going to bring you right to the screen where you can choose what kind of certificate it is that you want to create. Now that's if I'm on the search screen, but what about if I'm already on the client? So I'm going to click the client profile here so you can see that navigation. If I left-clicked on the details icon, as you'll recall, this is where we land. We can also tell here that this client has an in-force policy, and I can see it down here in the in-force part of the screen. So if I go to Servicing up here on the Client menu and click on New Certificate under Services, this is going to take me to that same screen that we were on when I right-clicked and chose New Certificate. Okay, so now we're going to learn how to do this, and the first thing that you want to do, and you don't want to forget, is to pick the kind of certificate that you need to add. So we're going to create a liability certificate today, and I don't want that aviation one. So these are really just in order. You can see that in numerical order there. So I'm going to go ahead and select the liability certificate. The next one, the next field that's available here is the named insured. So that's coming from client level. So if my client has more than one named insured, I could choose that from the drop-down box here. Okay, this is where you can choose the signature. Depending on if you have security or not authorized to use the signature is going to determine if you can click on it and use it. Any signatures where I have the authority to use it is going to be in that box if they're in my branch. The description down here, it says that it's optional, but I always put something in here. Anytime you're presented with a field to put some information in, it's an opportunity for you to enter in information that you can use to help you search for things later. So I always put in my policy term effective year here, just like I did for all the other things. And then if this certificate is going to be for auto, work comp, GL, all the different things that I might be including in this certificate, I want to indicate here. So if it was about a specific job number, I might even add that to it somewhere. So this one only has auto right now, so I'm only going to include auto. If you want to, you can add, you know, that. I can even ID that it's a liability certificate. I'm going to copy this, and I always like to use this over and over and over again every time I do a certificate, because it's going to save me typing time. So I always copy that. I click Next here after I've made all my choices on this screen, and then it creates a certificate. You can tell where you are. Certificates is the summary view of certificates, and the certificate tab is a certificate. And we're looking at certificate number 965. That certificate number is going to print on this certificate, so that's really nice to know, because that means that if your client calls you about a particular certificate, you'll be able to ask them what the certificate number is so that you can locate it. You'll notice up in the header that it's got all that information that I chose on the other screen, And right now it's kind of opened up where I can come in and change things if I need to. So I can even change the status of my certificate. Right now, after I've just created this brand new certificate, this is an empty certificate. So if I tried to print it right now, there wouldn't be a thing on it. So I want to go ahead and get my line of business added, which you can see down here at the bottom of the screen. There's nothing. I'm going to click on the Add New Link, and it's going to allow me to choose my lines of business. Now I can choose multiple lines of business, but I can't choose more than one of the same line of business because the form just can't accommodate it. So I'm going to choose the one. That's all I have right now, but if you had GL, work comp, umbrella, I could choose those two, depending on the certificate, of course. I'm going to click Next. And now notice on this screen at the bottom that we have our line of business added. It is at that point, because it is a liability certificate, that it populated the form. Okay, so I can easily tell that by clicking on the lookup link here and clicking on the PDF icon, which is located right here. Now, I can only click on the lookup link if it's an unposted certificate, which this one is. So I'm going to click that PDF icon, and it's going to bring up the certificate. And there it is. If I had an additional interest on my application that I pulled in here, they would already be in here. The first one would be in that list down here. So any additional interest that you've added to the application, for any certificates that you add with that application, it's automatically going to add those additional interest. So if I'm doing a midterm certificate, I might not need to include them, and I'll show you how to quickly get rid of those when we get to that point. All right, I'm going to close that. Now, for a property certificate, property or evidence certificates do not come in automatically populated like the liability one does. What you'll see here instead of the policy is you'll see the different lines of coverage, like the location address maybe, or the vehicle. So if I needed to populate that with the into those evidences or the property certificates, you want to check the box and click the pre-fill button, and that's what's going to populate your certificate. All right, this one doesn't need that, so I'm not going to do it, but I also want to point out here a couple of great things that you can do from here. I can click on this link, and it'll show me the coverages, the summary of coverages for that policy. And this one will bring up the form, the line of business form, which in this case is the Accord 127. I'm going to click on this coverage one so you can kind of see what that is. You can minimize it, keep it open while you're working on your certificate, or I could take it and drag it off to the other screen if I want to and leave it open. As you can see, it's got all that handy dandy information in it so that I can use that if I need to for my certificate. I'm going to close this, and then we're going to talk just a minute about how we're going to edit the certificate should we need to. Just like on the marketing record, there's a tab over here on the right, a navigation tab, and it has in it the links just like the marketing application did. Okay, so I can come in here and I can change anything in these areas except for two of these links: description of operations and certificate holder. And the reason that I can't change them here is because the certificate holder is on its own tab. And by the way, the tabs at the top and the bottom of the screen are the same. It's just the bottom is a mirror image of those at the top. Okay, the description of operations is populated in two places. You can add unique ones on the certificate holder, and I can put one right here in the middle of the screen. And this one, the one I put in the middle of the screen, is the one that is going to apply to any holder I add to the certificate. So just keep that in mind. So I might put something here if it's going to apply to every holder that I add to the certificate, something like that. I always like to end it because keeping in mind that when I add my certificate holder, I may be adding a description of operations to them. I don't want them, these two descriptions running into each other. So I can either do that, make sure there's a space, or I can hit the carriage return once or twice if I kind of want to line it up. And you see the little scroll bars here became active. This is the only place where I can line things up like that. I can't do that on the holder. If I want it lined up, I got to use this box. I'm going to hit the Save Changes link anytime that I've added anything in the middle of the screen or I've changed anything in the header. Okay, so Save Changes, and that's what's going to allow me to keep it. If I navigate away without doing that, it's not going to keep it. The next thing I want to do over on the Navigation tab is I want to go ahead and show you how to edit this. A lot of times we have other coverages that we need to add, and I just want you to understand how that works. Click on Coverages-Other. That's the bottom part of your liability certificate. And this is a scheduled section of the form, and this part of the form holds actually 2 lines. So it can be repeated, and there's an Add Record link here. Clicking on the Add Record link is how we'll put that data in. Just like on the form, the marketing record that we were working on. The insurance letter, it's identifying our carrier, and then I'm going to enter in the description of the coverage. Okay, and then down here I'm going to enter in any information that I need. I need the policy number was unassigned. Whoops. My effective and expiration date, and then my description. Okay, I can click Next, Previous, Save Changes. All of those things are going to save, or clicking in any of these links inside the open form. But if I click Add Record, it'll save it, and it will bring up the next record for me to enter information into. If I click Summary, it's going to save it and return me back to the summary view. Okay, and that's going to be true on all of those forms. They work all the same, which is nice. That way you don't have to kind of figure out the different little nuances of all the forms. Okay, so there you go with that. And now we're through with the certificate, but a best practice is check that thing out before you finalize it. So I'm going to click the lookup link, the PDF icon. Okay, and I'm going to come down, and you can see where I added that coverage information. You see where it goes. Now, my description of operations that I entered into the center of the screen is not showing up here yet. And the reason it isn't is because I don't have a holder added yet. Okay, when I add a holder, it'll be there. I'm going to click Close. Now at this point, I can either abort the certificate. So if I click the abort link, it's going to go away like I never created it in the first place. If I click the post link, it's going to post it, which means lock it down and prevent me from coming in and working on it anymore, or anybody else for that matter. Okay, so I'm ready to do that. Now, one thing you need to remember is that you don't have to post it right away. If you don't feel like you're ready to post it yet, and you want to go ahead and add your certificate holders and then come back and post it, that's fine. But you can't issue the holders until you've posted the certificate. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and post it. I'm through with it. I like the way it looks. Okay, it says, are you sure you want to post this certificate? If I click OK, it's going to do just that. And if I click Cancel, it's going to abort it and let me just go back and continue editing it. So it's going to abort the posting. Okay, I'm going to click OK. And now it's posted, and you can visually tell that it's posted. The header has a different color now. The only thing active on it also is just the status, which you can change if you need to. So this is all done, and now we're going to go ahead and go to the Certificate Holders tab next. Okay, now before I go on and I proceed with this, I want you guys to go in and create a certificate. So I want you to add a certificate and create a liability one if you would, the 25, and go ahead and post it. So you don't forget to add your line of business to it though. So you guys go ahead and do that, and I'm going to stop the recording now. Okay, so the next part after we post the certificate is to add the certificate holders. So on the Certificate Holders tab of the certificate that I just created, at the bottom of the screen you'll see 3 links. Okay, first of all, too, I promised that I would tell you how to remove the holders if your holders came over from your application. There's a delete all link right here on the top right of the screen. So if there were any holders in there that haven't yet been issued, if you click on that link, it's going to delete them all. So that's one quick way to get rid of them if you don't need them. So to add holders, the first one is existing holder for this client, and what that does is it's going to let me open that, click on that link, which I know this guy didn't have any, but I'll show you anyway. Click on the link and it brings up this little pop-up box, and then in here you can hit clear, and that clears all the fields, and then search, and you notice that it didn't return anything because we haven't done any certificates for this guy yet. But you can search for all kinds of things: holder name, email, fax, certificate number, any of this information, which is so nice. It's really going to make it easy to issue these again. And they're stored by the client record. Okay, the next one is search org level additional interest. And what that means is, if you'll remember the very first day that we came in and I showed you how to add a client, from search up here, the entity drop-down box always defaults to client when you first log in, but you can change that to additional interest. And if you've added those additional interests there, this is how you search for them and pull them in. This is the same window also that we see at application level when we're adding additional interest. So lien holder, mortgagee, loss payee, additional insured. Same place. The drop-down box here is going to allow you to search from any of these methods. So I usually use the name, but you have all those as options. And then here I'm going to type in whatever it is that I'm looking for. And when I am ready to select the item, I check the box. And if I click Use Selection, it's going to leave me in this window, and it'll add the item and let me continue searching for other items. I can also choose Use Selection and Close, which will add this selection and close the window. So I'm going to stay in the window. Notice how it added Bank of America out here. I'm going to uncheck that, and now I'm going to search for my next name. I hit search, and notice that that name does not find any matches. I click OK, and I click Close. Okay, so the next way to add items is to create a new holder, and that's this third link down at the bottom of the screen. So I'm going to click on that, and it's asking me to enter in the information, and you'll notice on here that it says an asterisk indicates a required field. The only thing that's required here is the name. Okay, but I am going to fill the rest of this out. Okay, this drop-down box here also is going to be used for your evidences where it needs to populate something into the certificate, so you don't want to ever skip that. So don't get in the habit of skipping it. You always want to ID their status here, their type. Okay, so this guy is a certificate holder. Okay, and the loan number, I don't really need that for a liability certificate, but you will need it for an evidence or a property because it does print on those. If you want to put it here just for reference, you can. The reference, though, the reference field is where I always paste in that description that I copied. Now I like to use that, number one, just to kind of help me keep track of what these holders were added to when I'm looking at a great big old list of holders. Or if I export it out to my client and have them looking at the list, it will export to Excel too. So it's kind of handy there as well. Underneath, it's got an issue date, and I want to leave the issue date empty. Nexsure is going to take care of that for me. I am going to go ahead and enter an address, even though I really don't have to do that. And I'm going to let the zip code help me out here, so I can do that little backfill. Over here, if I don't have an email address or a fax and I want to mail it, I can just flag the mailbox here. Okay, if I am going to email it to somebody, you definitely want to put that information in here, and I'll show you why when we get to that part. When I tab off of it, that's going to light up this email box down here so that I can choose it. Also, another thing, don't forget, if you do have a fax number, I want to remind you, and I know I've told you this already a few times, you're probably getting tired of hearing me say it. Fax number's got to be entered just like that in order for it to work correctly. No area code, no 1, no 9, no comma, but just the area code and the phone number is what we're looking for there. Down here at the bottom, because this is the Accord 25, you do have these little drop-down boxes, and that's so that you can answer yes or no to the additional insured and subrogation boxes on the certificate. Those options are not available in all the certificates, just the 25. Down here at the bottom is where you'll enter in any special instructions, if there are any. Okay, this is a pretty big old field down here, so you got quite a bit of space there to work with if needed. Also, you'll notice up here at the top right, there's a little check box. Okay, and it says Add to Org Level AI Listing. That only shows up if you have security, number one, and if I do, I'll be able to check this box to add it to my global list. Remember, that's at Search under the entity of additional interest. So if you didn't search for the additional interest before you added this holder, I don't recommend you checking that box because you could duplicate data. You should always search before you add things that are new. So since I did search for it, I feel pretty good about checking the box. So I'm going to hit Save, and it's added the record. Okay, I can either click the back link right here, or I can click the certificate holders. Either one of those is going to take me back to the certificate holders. I'm going to go ahead and click the details icon of the first one I added and throw in my reference and make sure I make any changes to this that I need to. Okay, and again, if I have an email address, I can enter it. If not, and I want to mail it, I'm just going to check that mailbox there. We're going to save it. I'm going to go back. Okay, and that's how I'm going to do that. So I want you guys to go in now and add a holder. You can go into a search org level and go ahead and search for the word bank. And I want you to go ahead and add your first holder, please. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, now the next part of this is to issue the holders. Okay, so to issue the holders, you'll see an Issue All link here. Now that Issue All link is dependent on your having had posted the certificate already. So if you opted not to post the certificate yet, at this point, you'd have to go back to the Certificate tab and click the Post link. Since I've already done it, my Issue All is lit up. I could also right now, before I issue, I can remove by clicking the Remove icon or the Delete All. You can also preview your certificate by clicking that little magnifying glass icon there. And it's going to bring up the certificate so you can just get a look at it. Okay, and you can see where it's got the information in there that I added. It's got my little certificate holder. So that looks good, and I think I'm ready now to issue these. Now, before I issue, one other thing that I want to share with you, which I really like, is the ability to search to make sure that everybody has an email address or a fax number. So if you click the show link here, I can click the drop-down box, and then I can choose to search for everybody who doesn't have an email or fax number. Okay, you can also change the files per page here as well, so that's going to allow you to include, if you choose all, everything. I'm going to hit search, and notice that it has brought up one item, and that's the one that I opted to mail. So that one's okay. I'm going to take it back to all. I'm going to hit search. Okay, and now I'm ready to issue these. So I'm going to click the issue all link. And it says, are you sure you want to issue all of these certificate holders? Well, if we're not, you can click cancel just like always and go back and work on them. If you are, you can click OK. Okay, so now issue all is grayed out and the delete all is grayed out. And my remove icon's also grayed out. We're ready to deliver these. Now remember that if you're going to email them out of Nexsure, the fastest way to do that is to use the show link, and I'm going to start with email. You might do fax as well, so I'm going to select all my files per page, especially if I have more than 100. Click search. I want them all on that screen so that I can send them all out at one time. I'm going to check this box with the check in it, and it'll select all. If I check this box that's empty, it's going to deselect all. Okay, and then here I'm going to mass email. And it's going to bring up this screen where I can actually send these out. Okay, so over here on the right I've got two certificates, those two that I selected. Nexsure is going to send those out to each one of those holders, to whatever email address that you entered on it. Okay, so if I put the individual holders, each one's going to get their respective certificate. If I put my client's email address in there, he'll get an individual email for each certificate. That's kind of cool, because that way when he gets it, he can just forward it on to whoever it goes to. So that's kind of good to know. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to populate the information here, and I'm pasting in again that information that I copied earlier. So I just still am taking advantage of that information. We also have a delivery template that we've set up already out there to use for this, and I'm going to go ahead and choose it. And the delivery template is going to populate the text down here at the bottom of the screen. So it's kind of set up really so that it can just be sent out. And I do need to change that subject line on it though. Okay, and this is for our client for, I'll move this over because I can never remember who I'm working on, Atler Design. Okay, I guess it was right there too. Okay, and then if you have any attachments, and I want to move this over a tad. If I have any attachments that I have added to the attachments tab, now I haven't shown you how to add attachments yet. We're going to do that pretty quick. But if I had added any to this tab right here, they would have really already been added to the certificates. Okay, so they've just been automatically added. If I didn't want to include them, you could click remove all and it would take them all off. If you want to add attachments from the client level or from the document library, and the document library is the global holding area for documents that you could send out to any client. It doesn't have to be attached to the client itself. Just click add. And I'm going to click Show because I'm on the other tab, and that's going to let me search for attachments that this client has. So I have to change it to All. Click Search, and remember we did that document the other day, that proposal. I'll pretend that I need that, and then over here on the document library, there's a sample out there. And now when I click Attach, it's added both of them to this. I can also remove things. So if I decide I don't want to send this document after all, I can click on the Remove icon and it'll take it away. Okay, now all I have to do is send this by clicking the Send link. Okay, now where did it go? It's going to be attached here to the Delivery tab. So that's where it's going to be on that particular certificate. Those have already been sent. In fact, I heard them come in. I'm going to open up one and show you what they look like when they get them. And there you go. Just going to close that. And now what I'd like for you to do is go out to the certificate holder tab for the one that you added, and I want you to go ahead and issue all. But please, before you issue them, make sure you put your email address in there on the detail of the certificate holder. So if you haven't done that yet, just click the details icon and put in your email address right there and check the box. That way you can deliver this out to yourself. I want you to go ahead and issue it. Check the box on the left and then mass email it to yourself so you can see how that works. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, now what if they call me back and they say, hey, you know what, Mary, we need for you to redo a certificate. Okay, there was something that was wrong with the holder instruction on it, or we need to add a holder instruction. Sometimes they don't give you that right away. They just say send a certificate. Later they find out they should have asked you for more. That happens every day. So I want to show you the navigation to your certificates. If you're already on the client, you can click on the Policies link on the Client menu and then the Certificates tab. And you're going to get a view of your active certificates by default. Excuse me. And then here it is. Okay, remember if you're on the search screen and they call and you want to look at the summary view, you right click on the details icon and then you can click on certificate summary. It takes you to the same place. Okay, I can also look at the holders by changing the view on that screen. Just kind of handy. Okay, I'm going to go back into the certificates and then I'm going to click on the details icon to bring up the certificate. And what they said, the certificate was okay, but there was something wrong with one of the holders. So I go to the certificate holders tab, and the first thing I want to do is just add it again. Now if it was just a delivery issue, you can edit that by clicking the details icon and just changing the information here, hitting save. If it was the wording at the bottom, what we want to do is we want to edit the information. So I have to add a new holder to do that. So existing holder for this client, since we already did it previously, you check the box by the holder that you need to correct, click OK, and it's going to add it again. There it is. It's an unposted one or unissued one. This one below it I don't need, so I'm just going to click on the word active here, and it's going to mark it as inactive, so it'll be back there available but as inactive. You can always search by clicking show and searching for inactive. I click the details icon of the one that I just copied. I'm going to throw my reference in there, and I'm going to correct whatever it is that I needed to correct. Okay, so that's all I want to do with it. I'm going to save it. I can issue from here if I just have one. OK to continue, cancel to continue editing. I clicked OK. I'm going to go back, and now I can deliver just the one. Check the box, click mass email, and then Nexsure will even let you just do the one. If you prefer and you want to deliver it, go into the delivery tab. That's certainly something that you can do. The other thing that you can do is you can print your certificates. So if I go to the, other than just clicking on the little magnifying glass, I go back to the certificate tab, click on the print link. Once a holder has been added to your certificate, clicking on the print link brings up the print queue. Okay, this one isn't the inactive one, and it comes up because it's a part of this certificate. And I don't want to print all of these, and I don't want to figure out which ones it is that I need to print. I want Nexsure to tell me that. So provided that I didn't add an email or a fax number and all I did was check the mail preferred delivery method, I can check this box and it'll show me everybody that didn't have an email or a fax number. I can click select all, I choose my printer, I click print, or I can merge it to a PDF and click print. Okay, and that'll create one big PDF document with all the certificates in it. If I made a mistake on the certificate, okay, and I need to redo the whole certificate, we have the ability to copy the certificate. So I can copy it by clicking the copy link here. Okay, it's going to let me copy the coverages, and if I want to, I can also copy all the active holders. If I have other named insureds added at client level and I want another certificate exactly like this one but with a different name on it, I could choose the name from the drop-down box here. This one only has one. I'm going to hit copy, and it's going to bring up the copy of the certificate. And there it is. So you just go ahead and edit, whatever you need to edit. So let's say this one doesn't need the job description. So I hit Save Changes. Only change I needed to make was that. I'm going to post it, click OK. I go to the certificate holders. There's no changes on this either. All I have to do is issue all, click OK. That's ready to roll. Go back to the certificates tab, and now I've got this one right here that is the original. And if I need to inactivate it, I'm going to open it up, mark it as inactive, and click Save Changes. Now I might mark them as inactive if I had to replace them because I just messed it up. That's going to happen. I'm going to go over to the certificate holders tab, and these are no longer active either, so I'm just going to click the active link, and that's going to get them in the inactive view. If you ever want to see them, click the show link, click clear and search, and there they are. And you can always reactivate these by just clicking on inactive, and that's going to reactivate them. Same thing on the certificate. If you decide that you need to reactivate it, just change it and hit Save Changes. Going back to certificates tab, it's only going to show me by default the active ones. If I click the show link, I can do clear and search, or I could just change the status to inactive. But you see here that I'm looking at an inactive one and an active one. All right, anybody have any questions for me on certificates?
That last whole part you just went through was like 90 miles an hour, and I didn't comprehend most any of it.
Okay. Do you want me to go over it again?
No, I'm not going to for the whole group. Yeah, no. I'll figure it out.
Well, they might want to see it again.
I'd be fine with seeing it again.
Okay. All right, so let's do it again. So, where do you want me to start? You want me to start back on editing the holder?
Yes, please.
Okay. So your holder calls, right? And he says, I need for you to redo it. So you're going to go in, you find the certificate. We want the active one. Click the details icon. Go to the certificate holders tab. And then I'm going to add new. I'm going to go down here, click existing holder. I want to add the new one, the replacement one, before I inactivate the other one. We'll do this one this time. Click OK. There it is. The old one is not valid anymore. So what do? I inactivate it by clicking active. I click the details icon to edit. You change whatever it is that you need to change. Choose my method and click Save. You issue it. You click OK to continue or Cancel to continue editing. OK locks it down. I go back and you deliver it. Check the box. Mass email. Fill this out, which we did before. All that's just repeat. And then you send it. Okay, we'll pretend I sent that. If I need to copy the certificate. But before I move on, you guys got questions on that?
No.
Did somebody say yes or no?
I said no. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So certificate. If I need to copy the certificate, there's a copy link here. So I made a mistake on it, or maybe I just need it all over again. I could choose a different named insured if I've added more at client level than just the one. I copy. I'm on the copy now. And then you're just going to go through and work on this copy and just kind of repeating, the same information that we went through before, except you're editing your copy. Your certificates are over here where you've issued them. This one, anytime you see like a remove icon, clearly it's unposted. And you can look to the little posted box and it's got no check in it. And that's kind of it for certificates, unless anybody has any specific questions for me on it. All right, let's continue on then. Yesterday, when we enforced our policy, we ended up with a bound policy. Okay, and I want to show you how to keep track of those. Keep track of them from the home binder log. So I'm going to click on the home link. I click on the binder log link and it's going to bring up your binders. Now you'll notice that some of these binders have a red date on them. And what that means is the binder is expired. Not good. We don't need a bunch of expired binders sitting out there. So you need to learn how to extend your binder, and I want to show you how to do that. But first of all, I want to point this out. See where it says View, and it's got agency issued binders in there? Underneath it says Bound Future No Open Binder. When you enforced your marketing record, you had a choice to either mark it as bound and issue a binder, which is what we did, or you could have just marked it as bound. And if you did just mark it as bound, it would have been in this view. If you just clicked Enforce and you didn't create a binder, it won't be here. Okay, so I've got 9 pages of them here. So I'm going to click the Show link, and then I'm going to type in the name of my client here, if I can remember who it is. I think it was, and search for it. There it is. And you'll notice that our binder's there, and there's a yellow date on it, which means it's still got quite a ways before it's going to expire. 30 days to be precise. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I want to show you how to get into the binder. Now, if you left click on that details icon, you're going to go to the underwriting screen. You're not going to go to the binder. If you right click on the details icon and click open, you'll go to the binder. So you might want to jot that down. On the binder log, on the agency issued binders, right click on the details icon and choose open to go to the binder. Okay, and I'm on the binder. Notice the dates at the top, and now I want to extend it. Down here is an extend icon. It's under the extend column. We're going to click on extend, and it says, do you wish to extend the binder? If I click cancel, it won't. Just go back. If I click OK, it'll extend it another 30 days. Because that's a different date range, I'm going to edit it. It's a different date range than I want. So I click on that little calendar icon and just change it right here. That's the easiest way to get it to populate your binder date. Click apply. Nexsure is going to remind me to click the Save Changes link. I click OK. And notice that it's put the date in there. I'm going to click on the Save Changes link in the navigation toolbar anytime I change anything in any header. That's a best practice. So I'm going to hit Save Changes. And not only is that going to save that information in the header, but it's also going to populate the information in my binder. Okay, now I want to show you what it looks like when you print it, when you've extended it. Also down here at the bottom you can see the top one is the closed one and the bottom one is the open one. Okay, so I want to hit print right here and just kind of show you how that works. When there's multiple versions of it, it's going to give you the dates so you know which one that you want to pick. Pick the bottom one. I'm going to click print. I'm going to scroll down a tad and there it is. Now I could enlarge that too, but I just kind of wanted you to see where it brings up the correct one. Okay, and that is how you can come in and extend your binders. Now, when you extend a binder, come in and extend the binder, if the policy status is bound, then I go over to the policies. I'm going to click the details icon and open up to the underwriting screen. You're going to see here that we've got a date range, a coverage term date range that matches that binder, and that's because the status was bound. So anytime your policy status is bound, that's what's going to happen there. You cannot endorse a policy outside of that date range, that coverage term date range. So once you do get the policy in from the carrier, you want to open up the underwriting screen and enforce the policy, which is what we're going to do now. So time has passed and we've received our policy from our carrier. And we want this bound to go away, and we want it to say enforce, and we want our coverage term to match our policy term so that we're not restricted to those dates. So I'm going to click the Enforce link here on the navigation toolbar, and it says, hey, do you want to enforce and close all open binders for this policy? Okay, well if you do, you'll click OK, and it'll not only change it to enforce, change the date, it'll also close the binder, so I don't have to remember to go back and close that binder myself. Clicking on Cancel is going to abort the process. Okay, so it'll just leave the policy the way it was. So oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to click OK, and then when it updates, the header changes to an enforced policy now, and now the coverage term dates match the policy term. So now for your exercise, I want you to go in to the policy that you created with a bound status. I think it's the one you should be working on right now. I want you to go in and enforce your policy if it has a bound status. Okay, so now we've got our policy in force, and we're looking at our policy, and we look up at what we have in Nexsure and realize that the policy number needs to be updated. That's going to happen, right? Because you won't necessarily have the policy number until you receive the policy. So to get to the policy and edit it, okay, I want to go into servicing. Okay, and that's right here on the client menu. We're going to click on the edit link under services, and look at the screen. It says this option is used to make changes or corrections that do not require a change request. And then it says enter the effective date of the edit. Well, I'm making the edit today, so I'm going to leave that as it is. I take over the word process and I put in 2014. And edit is definitely what I'm doing. And then I'm editing the policy number. So that's what I'm going to put in here. Down at the bottom of the screen is going to be a list of the policies that you can select. So I'm going to select the appropriate one and click Generate Edit. So this is an internal change, not something that needs to go to the carrier. If you look at my screen now, you'll notice that the background kind of looks funny. It's kind of a pixelated background. And it says that the stage is edit and the status is pending. In Nexsure, any time you have a status of pending, what it means is that we're working on something. Okay, so it's in a state where we can change it. Now, Nexsure didn't open up the policy that we had in there before. What it did was it created a copy of it. Let me show you that. If I go to policies up here on the client menu and I click on the hyperlink, that's the little circle right here with the down arrows in it, you can see that pending edit hanging off of that record there. Okay, this one is the original one that we started with before we created the edit. So that was the image prior to our pending edit. So anytime you service a policy where you're going to change something on it, Nexsure is going to take a copy of it and let you work from the copy. It's not going to let you change your history. If I click on the home link and I click on the edits link, this is how we can keep track of all of the edits that we're working on. So if I come out here, you shouldn't have pages of edits like I do out here. That's not a good thing, because all of those policies are vulnerable for people to go out and just edit. But if you start an edit today and you don't have time to finish it, you want to finish it tomorrow, or maybe you just don't have all the information yet, it's fine to leave it out there for a little bit. Just don't leave it out there forever, because it's not going to allow you to do anything else until you finish it. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go into the client record. Now you'll probably remember from yesterday that clicking on the icon, the blue one by the client name, will take you to the client's card file. The white one will take you to the underwriting screen. So I want to go to the card file. And I'm going to click Servicing and then Edit again, so that you can see that now there's a little lock icon on that one, and it tells us that it has a pending edit on it. And that's what you're going to see anytime you try to do something to something that has a pending status on it. It's not going to let you do anything else till you finish it. So I got to get back into that record. So remember your navigation to get to the policies. Click on the policies link on the client menu, the details icon, and now I'm back on the underwriting screen. I want to go ahead and finish this, and I'm going to copy that because I got to get it down into my form. Ordinarily, when you put something up in this header and you remember to click the Save Changes link, it should do two things. It should save it, and it should also populate down into your form. Okay, so it's not going to do that here for some reason, and I got to go put it in. So I'm going to go to the billing section. There's where it goes, and I'm just going to paste that in. Clicking on Save Changes is going to save it. Pop on down to the next line, and I want to look. It's not necessarily in every line of business, but sometimes it is in there, and I don't want to miss it. So I do want to check for it. Save Changes. If I needed to make any other corrections, now's the time to do it. So because as you can see, I can go through and make these changes right now. If I needed to edit the Policy Info tab, because it's not in a lockdown state, I can also come out here. You notice that it has active links on it, so I can come in and open those up. And then I also want to point this out, and I may have shared this with you before, but when we posted our invoice, the annualized premium and the billed premium populated from posting the invoice. So those are already out there. So I'm going to go back to the underwriting tab. I'm through making my edits, and I want to post it. Now you'll look at the screen on the navigation toolbar. You've got a few choices here. You can post the edit, or you can abort the edit. Aborting means to undo, get rid of. Okay. Once I post it, I won't be able to undo it. The abort will go away. Also notice that when we created our edit and we entered in our action information on the servicing screen, that was also added to the record. So the information that you're entering on the servicing screen is actually your documentation. So we definitely don't want to skip that. I'm going to click Post Edit. As posted. It doesn't ask me to confirm. It's just going to post it. Okay, now this is the version with the policy number updated on it. I want to go back to policies. Click the hyperlink, and I want to show you now that the record that was hanging off of it is no longer hanging off of it. But you'll also notice that little plus right there. And when I click on the plus, it's going to open up the record, and at the top, look at the top line, it's gray. In Nexsure, the gray line items indicate a historical version. And the reason that it's an older version of this policy is because it was edited, and you're going to find that sitting in the change column. The actual version that got edited is below it. This is prior to the change. Okay, this is just why it's old. So if I were to click on the details icon here, it's going to show me the version without the policy number on it. Okay, now the reason it's behind the plus is because of this. The coverage from date on both of these records is exactly the same. And between the two, the one that's blue is the most current. And that's why Nexsure's putting it back here behind that plus sign, so that you know what the current version is between the two records. Okay, so if I did want to open it up, I could surely do that by clicking that details icon. It brings me in, and this is the record where it does not have a policy number. Okay, now I want you guys to go in and initiate an edit, and I want you to change the policy number on that newly enforced policy that you just did a minute ago. Changing it from bound to enforce. I want you to edit it and change the policy number, and don't forget to hit Save Changes. Once you get that done, I want you to go ahead and enforce it. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is talk about the two different types of processes for handling endorsements. The first one I'm going to talk about has to do with an endorsement request that we have received from a client, and their policy is typically downloaded from the carrier. How do we handle those? Okay, what you will do is, if you're not already on the client, remember you'll be at search level, client, and then you might have to type in some of their name and hit search to find them. If they're already in the list, of course you can just click the details icon to open it up. Now I want to document that I made the change, and then I also want to get into the carrier site to make the change. And since we have Nexsure here that can help us keep track of our passwords, I want to use what we call e-services to get out to the carrier site. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first, and it doesn't matter if you add your action first or you do your e-services, your change first. So I'm going to go to the carrier site first. I'm looking at my policies here, and over on the right you see the issuing and billing carrier links. To initiate a change from Nexsure, you just want to click on the link, and it's going to bring up the Nexsure e-service provider. Okay, so if it's in Nexsure for you to use, it's going to come up here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to enter in our login name, our password, if it's not in there already, and you're going to click on the register link here. Now I don't want you to do this in the training site because you don't want to save your real life stuff into this trainee client, but in your live site you'll do this. And it'll save that to your employee record, and then the next time you click on that link it'll be there, so you don't have to remember it all the time. If you happen to need to change your password in your carrier's website, you can do that and then change it here and click on the update link, and that'll update it on your employee record in Nexsure. So some carriers, and really the options down here just depend on what the carrier offers on their website. But some carriers will have a bunch of links like Hartford here, and some of them might just have this auto login here. So you're just going to click on the link that's appropriate to what you're doing and navigate into the carrier site and make the change. Now if you only had auto login, Nexsure copies the policy number, and then you can paste that as you're navigating in to the carrier site to bring up that particular client's policy. Once you get your change made in the carrier's website, you want to make sure to log out of there, and it'll bring you right back to Nexsure. This won't be open either when you come back. All right, and so I'll be back here. And now the next thing that I want to do is to add my document, my action, my documentation, if I haven't done that yet. The fastest way probably to do it, because you can see this little link right here, is to click the Add Action. That's right here. Okay, and then we're going to be on our client, and it has our client name up here. And then the topic, I want you to think of that as more of the subject. So this is all about endorsement, so I want to choose endorsement. The type is what we're doing. So the client actually requested the change, so I'm going to choose that. And then this one is an action that is open, which means I want to be reminded of something. So it's going to show up on my home action screen based on whatever due date that I actually ultimately end up putting in the due date field. It is defaulting here 30 days from the current date, or 29 days. I guess today's the 17th. But you can change that if you want to. Again, you can use this little calendar icon here and choose whatever date you want. And it'll populate the field. I guess I should have chosen a different date. Let me make the 17th. There you go. Okay, and I can also assign it to somebody else, anybody who's already assigned the policy, or anybody who's in our agency. Down here I want to make sure, because I clicked on Add Action at Client level, that I choose the policy that it's pertaining to. And then we're going to enter in our description. So this is the 2014. It is an endorsement. And let's see, the date that the change is what I usually put in here next. And then what they're doing is they're increasing the deductible. So I'm just putting in my documentation there. And then I might put check for download receipt from carrier. Okay, down at the bottom of the screen I've got save, and I've got save and add. Okay, save means save and close this action. Once I save an action, and I'm sure I'd already told you this, but maybe not, it becomes a permanent part of Nexsure. Can't delete it. Save and add means save this action and bring up another screen, another action, so that I can populate it. Okay, down at the very bottom of the screen is where I can add attachments to it. So if they sent me a email or something and I want to attach it, this one came by the office, so I don't know, maybe I don't have anything. Or if I'm using Internet Explorer, anything prior to 11, you have to click this button to add the attachment. And what that does is it's going to allow you to search your computer for the attachment that you want to add. Okay, if you've got Internet Explorer 11, you can actually add the attachment by dragging it. Okay, and I'm going to show you that. Let's see if I can get to my desktop here. Okay, and I'm just going to take that attachment right there. I'm going to bring it down until it brings up these little pop-ups here. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do that. Hang on. But you have dual monitors, a little easier, a little harder to show here. Uh-oh, it looks like I deleted it. Did I move it somewhere? Yep, I moved it somewhere. I don't know where I put it, but we'll do this one. Okay, so I'm going to bring it over, and I'm going to drop it there. So it puts it down at the bottom, and then down here I can rename it. So this is 2014 endorsement request. Okay, and I could change that one too if I want to. These little boxes over here make it viewable in the portal for the client or the retail agent, if you have that. Come and hit save, and now it's actually added that. Now the other thing that we can do here is the attachment manager, and I'm just going to remind you, the first day we started training I talked about this, and I asked you to please install it. Right here, attachment manager. That's going to put an icon on your computer like this one. So when I double click on that, it's going to bring up the login screen for Attachment Manager. And this is going to allow you to drag and drop your attachments if you want to. And they'll go to your Nexsure clients. And you'll notice that the last client that I was working on is at the top of the list. Right here. Now before I start putting any attachments on the client, if it has to do with a particular client, then you want to make sure that the client, you can see the client. So I might search for them here by typing in their name. As I start typing in the name, it starts finding. You could also refresh this list if you were already in it by right-clicking and hitting refresh, and it'll refresh that list to whatever it was that you were working on in Nexsure on your search screen. Okay, if I want to attach something and it's particular to a specific policy, you want to be able to see the policy before you start dragging the document. So I'm going to open this up. This is an active policy that we're working on. There it is. And I'm just going to grab my attachment and pull it in here. Oh wait, there's that document. I see it right here. Test document. So I'm going to drag it over. See how it's got that little icon on that little arrow? Okay, when I let go of it, when I see the arrow, it's going to drop it. So I was just holding down the left mouse button and then I'll let go of it. When I click on the policy, you can see that the item is attached. You can rename them from here by double clicking. Okay, you can delete them by clicking on it. I don't want to delete that one. Let me delete this one. So I could click on it and hit the delete key, or I can right click and hit delete. Okay, so that's kind of how you can get those out of there. If I go back into Nexsure, and I go to activity, on my client, I clicked on the activity link, and then attachments. You're going to see your attachments out there. And the one I deleted is going to be down here in the recycle bin. Now, you might not be able to delete. If you can't delete, it's dependent on your security. So if you don't have security rights, you won't be able to delete them. But if you do delete, they end up in the recycle bin. So that's kind of nice to know that they're not really a permanent delete unless somebody that has administrator rights comes in and deletes them. Those are the attachments and kind of how they work from a high level. The folders here get created by right-clicking, and usually only administrators can do this. These folders are global. If you decide that you want the folders to use them, you can add them by right-clicking, clicking on New Folder, and it'll add one called New Folder. Right-click on it, click Edit, and you can give it a new name. So just, keep your folders kind of in a generic way, like pictures or policies, or, like you're seeing here. Because these folders have a limit of 100 folders. So you kind of want to keep that in mind. Once a folder's added on a client, it's on every client. If a folder's removed, it's deleted from every client. If it's disabled for every client. Okay, I'm just going to delete that one. If you had something in a folder, it will not delete the contents. It will move the contents up to the client level. Right now I'm on folder view, but if I uncheck that box, I'll be looking at everything for the client. So these folders can be created by the system administrators. I don't know if you guys are all system administrators or not. Okay. All right, so somebody asked me where to install the attachment manager. It's on the Nexsure login screen, and it's right here above your username. You just click install and follow the directions. All right, so that's how the attachments work, you guys. And next up, we're going to do a regular endorsement, but just so you kind of get a little practice in on doing an action, I want you to go ahead and just add an action for me. Click on the Add Action link there on your client and create one with the topic of endorsement and client request. Assign it to yourself, choose your policy, and just put a little message in about your endorsement. You can say in there that you're increasing the deductible. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, let me show you how we close those actions. Remember that the Home Action screen is where we're going to go to find them. Okay, and you might not see them on your screen right away, but depending on the date that's on them. So remember, we looked at this the first day, so it's been a while since then. You might want to change your filters by clicking on the date variable icon. Now I've got mine going 14 days, and if I really wanted to see that one I just created, I probably need to go in maybe 31 days to see it. I'm going to hit submit, I'm going to hit save, and that's going to save that as my filters. If I click the hide by the word filter, it collapses that up. Now if I scroll down here, I should see everything in here that I've just done. So there's the endorsement. There's a new business one that I did. There's a couple of endorsement ones. Okay, so there's all the ones that I've got to do. Now if I want to close one of these things, there's a couple ways from the home screen that you can do it. You can right-click on the details icon if you just want to mark it as closed. This is the only place you can do that. So if I don't need to document any notes in it, I can do that. But if I want to document, I click the open link, and it's going to open it up and let me document. Or you could just click on the white details icon. So I'm going to mark it as closed, and I really want to put in a date here. So I'm putting in today's date. And then I'm just going to put policy received and save it. Another place, of course, if you're on the client, so if I go to the search screen and I click on the details icon for my client, you'll notice here under alerts that it has a number there by actions, open actions, and if I click on it, it'll bring up the open actions. Okay, this one is an endorsement that I created, or somebody did. Probably I did. Yep, I did. And it tells you who creates this stuff too, which is kind of cool. But I can open them up from here as well and mark them as closed if need be. And then document and save it. So just a couple of ways that we can close our actions. Always let the home screen guide you, though, with what you need to do. Okay, so next up we want to learn how to do the manually entered endorsement. So to do the manual endorsement, we're going to click on Servicing on the client menu. We're going to click on the endorsement link here. And in endorsement it says this option is used to generate change request. So that means something that I need to send to the carrier to ask them to change the policy. So I'm going to enter in the effective date of the change, and then this is very important when we're doing an endorsement. We want Nexsure to lead us to the correct version of the policy. So that date is where the process all starts. So whenever you're working on your policies, you want to just go to the servicing link, or if you're on the search screen, right click and hit service. That's fine because it bypasses the policy. If you go to policies, and I know I've shown you some of the right clicks before, but you're going to find this one sooner or later right here, which I love these shortcuts, I really do. But when you do a service that way and you choose endorsement, it's always going to put the coverage term effective date there. And you might forget to change it, and it's also already chosen that version, and it might not be the right one that we want. So that's why I always say when you're doing an endorsement, it's really best if you go straight to servicing and try not to right click for those. Go to the endorsement and let this date pick the right version for you. So punch in the date of when they told you it's supposed to be effective. From the drop-down box, choose the version of the policy that you need to change. And then we're going to enter in the endorsement information. I'm just replacing the word process, just like I've done all along. And then I'm going to enter in the effective date of change. And you can copy and paste that if you want to. Add, let's see, we're going to add a 2014, let's do a, okay. And notice down here at the bottom it selected the correct version. So it does that all based on what you're choosing above. Also notice this, that A in front, and it tells us down here in the legend what it means. A means an active policy, and an H, if an H were displayed there, would mean a policy that's in history. So if I don't see the right version down here, then I must have done something wrong. I've either chosen the wrong line of business or put the wrong date in. Click Create Endorsement. Okay, and we've got that same pixelated background, and it's pending. It's an endorsement is the stage, and it's a pending status, which means we're working on it. The first thing that you're going to do is go into the line of business and make the change. Don't go to the pending endorsement and make the change, because you'll be having to do double work, and we don't want to do that. Less work is better. Click the plus by the line of business of the form that you need to change. Open it up. Click on the section that you need to alter. So in this case, they are adding a new vehicle. We're going to click on the Add Record link in the navigation toolbar. And we're going to enter in the information. This is a Chevy, and the body type is 4-door, and the VIN number, and it is a private passenger. And then I'm just going to go through this, and I'm going to fill out every section that I need. So next, or if you prefer, you can click list and populate it that way, whatever you prefer. If you're going through this way, it will show you at the top which vehicle you're working on. I'm going to skip on down and go down to coverages. I'm going to populate my coverage information. If you click Save Changes, it leaves you on this page. If you click Next or Previous, it's going to save and navigate you forward or backward. If you click Add Record, it's going to save this one and give you a new one to enter. If you click Summary, it's going to save it and return you back to the summary view. There's the one that we're adding. We see an A on it. If we're deleting it, you'll see a D out here. If you've changed something, you'll see a C out here. Now that's for the scheduled items. Okay, now I want to return back to header level, and we've already learned that we can do that by clicking the underwriting link at the top on the navigation tab. I also want to point out the coverage term from date changed to match the date that we entered on the servicing screen. And again, to remind you, the definition of the coverage term is the coverages on this version of the policy. This is the valid date. Okay, so these coverages are valid for this date range. I want to populate my pending endorsement next, and how I do that is to click on the populate icon. I'm going to choose Agree, Accept. Okay, and it populated my form. Okay, and the little note told me it's my responsibility to make sure that it's accurate. So I always want to check it. I'm going to open that up, click the print link, and I'm going to check it. So it'll come up in the middle of the screen there, and then I'm going to check it. So there's my vehicle right there. So that looks good, and I'm ready to proceed to the next step. Then the next step is to lock it down so that people can't come in and change it. So the status says pending, and I don't want it to say pending anymore. So I'm going to change it to submitted and click the Save Changes link. And there's my change. I want to confirm it. Check the box at the bottom and click Accept. It says it's done, so I click OK. We'll notice that it's locked down now, and I can't come in and work on it anymore. Now you've got a choice here. You guys, because you can't go back and change it anyway, you could go back and post it right here, but once you post it, you can't track it from the Home Endorsements page. If you post it, if you decide that's what you want to do and maybe just track it from an open action, you can do that by clicking the Details icon and changing this action to Open. Okay, so if I do that, that date's good, and then I probably would just drag this note up here. I don't want an empty memo. If I don't put something in here, when I'm looking at it on the screen, it's going to look like I didn't put anything in it. I'm going to hit Save. And then I can post my endorsement right now by clicking the post endorsement link. Now I'm going to wait on it just a minute, and I want you guys to go in and do an endorsement for me on your auto policy that you created. So go ahead and do that now, and just add an auto to it, just like I did. The next thing that we want to look at is what we did. So I submitted it, and I did not post it yet because I just wanted you to see what it looks like if you decide that you want to leave it as submitted. I'm going to click on the hyperlink. Now I clicked on policies and clicked on the hyperlink, and then here you can see the submitted endorsement. There's a little delta icon there. If you decide to leave it as submitted, that you'll be able to click on and view from there if you need to. And what it does is it just brings up the change analysis. That'll also be inside the screen. So if I opened it up, it'll be in there too on the underwriting screen. If I click on the home link, not the delta but the information, and I click on the endorsements link, if I decided to leave them as submitted or pending, they're going to be sitting out here on this screen for us to keep track of. Otherwise, if you had that open action, then they're going to show up as an open action.
What? I can't even hear you.
Okay, somebody forgot to mute their phone, so I just went ahead and muted them. Okay, and then if I click on the details icon here, okay, it brings me in to the underwriting screen. I clicked on the white details icon from the home screen. Once you receive the endorsement from the carrier, you can go ahead and post it if you're going to track it that way, or if you want to post it right after you've added it like I did on this one. I'm going to go ahead and just post it. You can still deliver it. Post endorsement. So now I would just be tracking it from the open action, or I waited until I received it. But if I need to deliver it, you go to the Delivery tab, click Add New, okay, and then over here on the right, I always want to make sure that I add first before I start filling out my delivery. That way I don't forget to add it. Okay, there's the policy, and I went to policy level because it is going to default to that record that I'm on. And there's my change request. You can also click that little link right there to preview it. I'm going to check the box, hit attach, and it's added it over here. I'm going to go through and fill all this in. And again, this is our 2014. You're going to follow your same naming conventions. Whoops, cap lock on. Click the little address book. Now this is something a little bit different than what I've shown you before. If I want to search for the client, the carrier contacts, choose contacts. It's still going to default to the client you're on, but you can take this out and type in your client carrier name. And type in the entity of carrier, but do not add a space after the word carrier because that space won't be found in the database. Click search, and it's going to go out and search your carrier contacts. Check the box, choose placement, click select, and it's going to populate your form. Now you can finish this up and then send it out, but notice here that it has the policy number on it as part of the subject line. So that's going to help you send it out. If you do have your delivery delivery templates created, you'll be able to take advantage of those. Again, those are added by your system administrator under Setup, Delivery Templates. Okay, I'm just going to save that as a draft. we'll pretend that I hit send, but don't forget to send them. If you want to send them, you've got to hit send. Okay, that is the endorsements. Now, does anybody have any questions for me on endorsements?
Not so far.
Okay. All right. So then the next thing that we would do in our workflow at some point, our client may have a claim, and if they have a claim, we want to make sure that we can go out and add that claim into Nexsure. So how do we add a claim to Nexsure? We're going to go to Servicing on the Client menu. So we want to be on the client record. Click on Servicing, and then we're going to click on the claim link. Okay, we want to enter in the date of the claim when it occurred. It tells us that here. I can't enter a date in the future for a claim, and nor would that make any sense. The date here, again, I'm going to use my policy term effective year, and it is a claim. And then we're just going to put hit at stop sign other vehicle. If you copy this, if you put enough information in here, you can copy it and use it when you're populating your claim form. When I tab, it populates the memo section for my action. So again, I don't want to skip this. It's my action, it's my documentation. The drop-down box below is going to let me select the form that the claim is for. And I'm going to click Next. This is going to be a list of policies. And if you do need to search outside of the enforced policies, there's a show link here, which is going to allow you to do that. So if I needed to include history, you can do that. And you can also change the dates here as well. Okay, I'm just going to choose this one today. Click the Next link. And it brings up the underwriting screen, and you're going to notice a red border immediately around it, which means that the claim is open. Okay, it has an open claim. Now, most of the time when you create a claim form, you're going to just open it up over here in the navigation tab and just begin populating it. But you can get a little help from the auto forms. So for personal auto, commercial auto, homeowners, you can get some help for those. So since I can get some help on this one, I'm going to click the populate icon. Click Agree. And again, there's your little disclaimer. Hit Accept. I'm going to choose both the vehicle and the driver because both were involved. Click Next. Okay, so here at the bottom is a drop-down box. So I'm going to start with the vehicle first. And then I'm going to choose my driver. And then I want to click Finish. And that's going to take those records and populate my my pending claim form. Click on the plus. Click on the plus by the Accord form. And then go into the form and populate it. Now, I know you already know how to populate a form by now. So let me just show you where it came in and brought the information in for my vehicle and my driver. Okay, so it's got all that in there. So I would just go in and change the rest of the information or add to it as needed. Once I get that populated, now a best practice is to preview it by clicking the print link. Make sure that it's what you want to send out before you finalize this or deliver it out. There's a printer icon there if you want to print it and mail it. So there's our information. Okay, now I want to deliver it. So I'm going to go to the delivery tab. There's an add delivery here too, but I still find it's easier if it has to do with a particular policy to go to tab level. Add new. Over here on the claims, we'll click add, choose your claim, click attach. And now it's added over here. Then you're going to go through and populate the rest of this information and send it out. So we'll just pretend that I did do that, or I printed it and I mailed it. The next thing that we might want to do is go into the form, or not into the form, but into our claim tab and enter in our own detail information. So we can do that by going to the claim tab here, or the claims on the client menu. Client menu claims is going to show me the open claims by default. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the claims tab here. Click the details icon to open up the claim. And here's our claim. Notice that the action is stored with it. So you could just click the details icon, and this is exactly where you're going to want to store any permanent information about this claim. Okay, click Save. If you want it to be open, then change the status to open. So if it's something you need to follow up on. So it's been saved now. I'm going to scroll down, and you'll notice that there's a lot more fields here where you can enter in more information if you need to. Down at the bottom of the screen is where you can enter in the claimant information. This one has only the insured as the claimant. So they were hit at a stop sign, but the guy just took off and he didn't leave any credentials. So I'm just going to highlight my client name up here and drag that down, because if I'm going to add payments to Nexsure, I have to have a claimant. So I've got to add him here in order to be able to do the payments. But if you actually have other claimants to add, there's a lot of fields here that you can take advantage of, but that's the only one that's required. Hit Save. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the screen, and you're going to see that claimant down there. You'll notice here that I'll be able to add more claimants to it if I need to. Notice here at the bottom of the screen or at the top, you'll see a Claim Payments tab. That's where you can go to add your payments. So if I click Add New Payment here, click the drop-down box for the payment type. Now you can add, or your system administrator actually can add to this list if you do need more. So I'm going to enter in the information that I have. One thing to keep in mind here is that anything that has a asterisk beside the field means it's required. If there's no asterisk, it's not required. So the claimant field is required, and if I didn't have a claimant added, I would not be able to save this screen. And that's why I added my insured there. The Reduce Reserves box is just an indicator to let you know that the reserve amount that you entered has an effect on the reserve. Not that it reduces the reserve on the detail screen, because it does not. It's only an indicator. I click Save, and it adds the payment. There's an Add New Payment link here where you can continue adding payments if needed. If I go back to the Details tab and I scroll down, you'll see where it's added that payment that I just put in there. If we click on the Policies link, you'll notice the red border around the policy here too. And if I click the hyperlink, you'll also see the red border around the version of the policy where the claim was added. And that's only going to be present while the claim is still open. To keep track of your claims, you're going to click on the Home link on the Utility menu. You're going to click on the Claims link on the home screen. Okay, and your claims are going to be out here. By default, it's showing us the open claims. These claims that have a claimant icon means that a claimant has been added. And when you click on one of those icons, it's going to open up and show you the claimants that were added to that claim. You can also search for the claims by clicking on the Show link, and I could do that globally by clicking the Clear button here and then typing in any of these fields, particularly whatever it is you're looking for. Okay, and there's mine. You also have the ability to export the claims out to Excel. So if I needed a list of claims just for my client, make sure you search for the client first before you export. And that way you'll have a clean list just for that client. So I can get into the claim from here by clicking the white details icon. It takes me right into the claim detail. When you're ready to close the claim, you want to come here and we're going to enter in the date closed down here at the bottom. So I'm going to enter in the date that it was closed, which is today's date. Maybe we had draft authority and we just issued the check ourselves. And I'm going to click the Save Changes link and then the Post Claim link. Posting the claim is going to close it. So it will remove that red border from around it. And then also I have the ability to reopen the claim anytime just by clicking the Reopen Claim link here. Don't forget that your action is here, and so you're going to edit that as you go. And save it. Okay, and that's how the claims are going to work. Now I'm going to include in your homework assignment the addition of claims, and there's some other things in there for you to do as well. So I'm going to get that out to you right after our session today. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No.
Okay. Since you don't have any questions, that's going to be it for today. And tomorrow we're going to finish up all of our CRM training topics. And we'll be starting with session 4 tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to learn how to cancel policies, and we're also going to learn how to work on renewals and audits. We receive audits from our carriers on our policies. All right, so that's all for today.